Hello, my wonderful viewers. Who wants to take a look at some fascinating alien species? Today we will be taking a look at the Shatar, the second largest full-bodied organisms known to the sapient species of the galaxy. The Shatar are praying mantis-like creatures who stand about 4 feet tall at the top of their antenna. While not very large compared to humans, they are second largest of the sapient species to the humans, of course not counting the species that don't have a more traditional body. The Shatar come from a very stable planet with no tilt to the axis like the rest of the sapient species, and they live in a very matriarchal society. Their planet shows a diverse range of ecosystems, nearly as diverse as Earth, and far more diverse than the majority of the other sapient species homeworld. They have broad prairies and dense, deep tropical forests, and pretty much everything in between. They only have a very few seas, and they are very shallow with a very small surface area compared to the oceans of Earth. The oceans are all freshwater and are connected to the myriad network of water channels below the surface of the planet. While the Shatar homeworld does have a similar water volume to Earth, the water is tied up in aquatic reservoirs locked within the rocks. There it circulates, evenly warming the surface of the planet from the thin thermal vents that come up from the magma below the surface. There are no major fault lines on the crust being very evenly distributed, and there is nothing recognizable as a mountain, despite a few rolling alterations in the terrain. The densest forests cluster around the few shallow seas, and spreading out the forests gradually transition from the taller tropical forests to the low rolling plains and grasslands. The Shatar live in communities called hives, where you have one to a handful of reproductive females, all of their sisters, aunts, and daughters, and a very few males. The species primarily produces females, with very few males produced. Therefore, you will have dozens, if not hundreds, of females living with only perhaps one or two males. The breeding females lay eggs in packets, much like a shark would, and the young in the eggs are highly undeveloped. They then turn the eggs over to the males, who string them up in the gardens, and there are special vines that grow into the egg sacs and feed the developing young from the nutrients in the garden. These gardens are fiercely defended, although the lack of major predators that could harm the Shatar on the planet mean that they're primarily defended against any change in the environment, such as a change in nutrients or a change in temperature that could damage the developing egg sacs. Being that the females are more abundant, they're the ones who go out and do the defense. The female Shatar is roughly half again the size of the male. The female Shatar have slightly longer antennae and a more defined neck frill. The neck frill is about midway up their neck, and on the female it can extend out up to a dozen centimeters in some rare cases, although it generally averages around 5 to 6 centimeters from the neck to the edge of the frill. The male's frill is usually shorter than 1 centimeter wide and is generally considered to be a pseudo-frill. The males tend to have the same level of strength when it comes to compression, but they lack the throwing capacity of their sisters. Young Shatar stay with their father in the gardens after they hatched until they come of age to begin learning a trade, where their natural tendencies and desires will be taken into account, and they will be assigned essentially an apprenticeship where they will learn a trade. Once a Shatar reaches basically the age of maturity, where their mental maturity comes several years before their sexual maturity, they will be sent out. They have traditionally been sent out to other hives to serve purposes in those hives as a way of expanding their knowledge base and encouraging a sense of community. With the dawning of a galactic community, many Shatar decided to take this as an invitation to extend what they consider basically a type of civil service out. So most of the Shatar that humans interact with in the larger spaceways are young, wandering Shatar that haven't quite settled down yet. Usually when a Shatar reaches sexual maturity, the females will either return to their home hive, or in the case where their home hive has an abundance of resources and members, they will start their own hive. The male will generally begin to seek a mate at this time. Generally speaking, these are arranged marriages, but the males are also expected to keep their eyes open for a mate out on their wanderings. Some males do not go out. It's not considered as necessary for them as for the females, but most Shatar do spend at least a year or two out of their birth hive before they settle down. The Shatar are monogamous, and once they've found a mate, they generally mate for life, and even if their mate dies, they will refuse to take another mate. Oftentimes, a mated Shatar will die fairly shortly after their mate passes away, although this isn't a hard and fast rule. The majority of the female Shatar remain unmated for most of their lives, and most of them are in fact sterile. Usually only the first half dozen daughters born to an individual Shatar will be fertile, and that lack of fertility kind of travels down. So the eldest daughter of an eldest daughter will produce perhaps a dozen fertile Shatar. The second daughter of an eldest daughter will produce maybe 6 fertile females. The third, if a third fertile daughter, will produce maybe 1 or 2, going down. This keeps most of the genetics in any one hive very close to the central genetic. Though the Shatar are in general friendly and engaging with most of the other species, they are overall considered to be the least friendly of the sapient species. This is not because they lack any good feeling towards the other species, but they are very self-contained and do not actively go out of their way to seek contact with other species like the rest of the sapient species do. The mild overall conditions on their homeworld, with snow only being found occasionally at the poles, means that the Shatar never had to develop much in the way of technology in order to survive. However, the need to maintain precise conditions for their egg sacs did drive a lot of their technology. This also means that biologically, the Shatar are fairly temperature resistant, nearly reaching humans' levels of internal thermal regulation despite being an insectoid species, but they're very moisture dependent, and they have a tendency to desiccate. Meanwhile, their outer membranes are very sensitive, and a laceration or a cut is far more serious for them, but a break or a fracture is much easier for them to heal than humans would be. Despite the lack of driven technological innovation, their sense of cooperation meant they made it to the stars long before the humans, and have colonies on many different worlds. As they searched and looked for worlds, they found few that were habitable, and their natural tendencies to garden led to much investment in terraforming. This means that there are a lot of Shatar out on colony worlds, and they were one of the first species to interact with the humans. And they are one of the main species that human colonists meet, because they are one of the few species who are even anything close to comfortable on the rough and wild worlds that the humans prefer to settle on. The Shatar tend strongly towards the more nurturing disciplines, and it is a very rare base indeed that does not have a Shatar chief medic. They also tend towards the natural sciences, biology, botany, zoology, and are heavily concentrated in these fields. So that is the natural history of the Shatar, and video will be released on Friday, October 1st, the first day of Humans Are Weird. We took a vote going live on Indiegogo. So if you're listening to this, you can click on the link below the video, and you will be taken to the live Indiegogo campaign, Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, the second book of human absurdity. Peace out, my wonderful viewers. And a quick reminder, when the campaign is over, it will go into in demand. And remember to check out the other links for Humans Are Weird. I have the data available on Amazon and anywhere where books are available. Remember, we have hard copies are now available, as well as ebooks, audiobooks, and the traditional paperback. Peace out, my wonderful Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote. The second book of human absurdity is now up and going on Indiegogo. If you follow the links below the video, you will be able to pre-order your copy of Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote in electronic format or paperback format. Now, same as last time, everybody who orders the paperback format will automatically get the author-read version of the Humans Are Weird audiobook. And in addition, this time, I am going to announce one of my first stretch goals. If I sell 500 books, then I am going to take the money and I am going to hire the local studio to make a full-on audiobook. High quality, professional recording, professional scripting, everything. So that's going to be my first announced stretch goal. At 500 books, I am going to hire Willamina Studios to make a full-on audiobook. Everybody who orders a paperback book will get the audiobook as a matter of course if we reach that first stretch goal. All right. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, the second book of human absurdity, available on Indiegogo. Check out the links below.